I think my question is, if not the Bucks as the clear-cut number 2 in the East, then who? Because the Celtics are just completely in a different category at this point. They're currently 11 games up on the 2-seed Bucks right now. In the West, the gap between 1 and 11 games back would be the difference between the Denver Nuggets at 1 and the Lakers at 9. It's just like, it's a completely different playing field right now. And like, I want to believe in the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell, we got an alert before we started recording. He might be back tonight. The Knicks have looked good of late, but I don't feel like there's like a clear team that I could believe in beyond the Bucks.
Well, this is the team you believe in, is the team that doesn't have to play the Celtics in the second round.
Yeah. Right.
And that's why, like, for me, as far as like, what are we learning from March and into early April games? What we're learning is who can avoid the Celtics for as long as possible. So I'm watching, the Cavs and Knicks in that 3-4 spot. That's going to be a huge difference, whether you're on the Celtics side of the bracket or not. Miami, whether they can lock into the 7 by winning their first play-in game, or maybe even overtake the Pacers for 6, those are huge developments for a team like the Heat, who, they certainly have their share of struggles scoring the ball and doing.
They've been having a lot of problems in the recent weeks.
It's not ideal, but neither is playing the Celtics. And so I think whoever you are in the bracket, and Milwaukee is on a good course to secure the number 2 seed. It's not like totally wrapped up yet, but a good advantage. They have been playing well. They have a lot of momentum. I think that's going to be enough, not just to make them the second best team in the conference, but to make them the team most likely to get to the conference finals as a result.
So what do you guys think? This is the question I have down here. Is there anything left to learn about the East as you're looking at it, as you're going through these March games and into the top of April? Is there anything where you're saying, well, like this thing other than injuries would make me think about this 2-10 race any differently?
Not for me. I think the learning is how far the Bucks can take their development. That's what I feel like we're learning on a night-to-night basis. I don't know that the Cavs have been revelatory. I'm not seeing any new revelations out of what they do. And even the Knicks, who still haven't been made whole. I keep hearing rumors about Mitchell Robinson coming back, if that's even an actual thing. Julius Randle, people just stop talking about it. Is this shoulder thing permanent? Like, is he out for the season? So I think it's the mysteries with the Bucks, because they seem to be the only people who are on a reasonably equal plane with the Celtics as far as talent is concerned.
Sure.
And so to me, that's the team you have to keep your eye on. That's the team that can make this most interesting.
Yeah, 2 injury updates on those fronts today. Mitchell Robinson is supposed to play tonight, reportedly.
Oh, wow. Here we go.
Is that from Mitchell Robinson's Instagram comments, or is that from actual recording? Okay. 'Cause there's a difference.
I wish we were getting all breaking news from players just like posting shit on Instagram. Let's get to that era. That would be wonderful. But Donovan Mitchell also supposed to return this week for the Cavs, which is, needless to say, a huge development, a huge thing. And you want to see that team get back into the full swing of what it's capable of going into the playoffs, too. Cleveland has as much to prove here as anybody. And so that's a team where, even though we know who they are, we've seen them rattle off incredible stretches of this season, I'm always watching the Cavs, kind of waiting to see something to make me want to believe in them. They do have these great stretches. They do have incredible potential. They are a really good regular season team. I'm still just waiting for that one thing that's going to make me believe they are more than they were last year. And some of that is what they're getting out of their perimeter shooting. Some of it is the synergy of some of their core guys playing together. But I don't know. I still feel, relative to, the Bucks as a counterpoint, a little underwhelmed by Cleveland's prospects.
Yeah, I was going to say Cleveland as well, if only because I believe we only have 30 games of Garland and Mitchell together. They've done a lot of their damage separate from each other, and to see them over the next 2 to 3 weeks would be nice to see them kind of figure something out, especially after last night's game where you saw Dame and Michael Beasley overreact on a pick and roll that allowed Reeves to get that 3 off. Obviously, they were playing just heavy minutes down the stretch and whatnot, but like the point of attack, guard defense is where you're going to worry about the Bucks. And so if the Cavs can get that going, you think maybe that could be their edge there.
Well, especially, I don't know how you guys have felt about this. And we always talk with the Cavs about the bigs, right? It's about when Mobley is out there and when Allen is out there, given the injury situation has made that more complicated lately. But like, what can they do? What are their limitations? Do they have to trade one of these guys eventually? In those 30 games we've gotten from Mitchell and Garland, I haven't loved the way they've played together. And that worries me because skill set wise, they should be able to. Garland's a great off-ball player and a good enough off-ball shooter that it should work in addition to the playmaking he brings that Mitchell doesn't. And so you can see the way their games should interlock. And I'm not sure for as good as the Cavs have been, if they really have.
Yeah, they've been fine.
And I think
fine is a good way to put it.
The Garland thing that's been a little bit disappointing to me, it feels like he just hasn't taken an extra step this season as far as his development. He feels like the exact same guy from last year. And we're not, in terms of chemistry with Mitchell, as Rob alluded to, it doesn't feel like they've taken a step forward in that sense either. They're not playing off of each other in a way that should make a little bit more sense. And so, it's not exactly Steph and Clay in their prime, you feel me, where defenses are in a panic whenever these guys are running actions with each other. Whereas Garland and Mitchell, it does kind of feel like your turn, my turn, type of situation, not very synergistic.
Yeah, especially when I would say I've been most impressed by the Cavs when Mitchell has been out there without Garland this season. And we know the limitations of Mitchell as your sole lead creator and ball handler because we just saw it.
But it's what he knows, though, right? A big surround me with shooting. I can generate good offense around this thing. That's what he did in Utah. Like, they led the league in offense in certain years while he was doing that in Utah. So it's like it's almost like riding a bike for him, sharing a backcourt with another, more ball dominant. Even in the best of Mike Conley, he wasn't that ball dominant, right? And so I don't know. We'll see if they can figure some things out down the stretch for sure.
The other thing I have written down here for figuring out the East was the Miami Heat score 100 points challenge.
Seriously, though.
It's a fucking mess. Like, Jimmy Butler wasn't out there last night against the Warriors, and we're going to talk about the Warriors specifically later. But it's just like they imported all of this guard help at the deadline, and then off of the waiver wire, they got Wright in there. They got Patty Mills starting games at this point. They got Terry Rozier, and it really hasn't made much of a difference to the point where last night they were playing through Bam Adebayo, and like Bam is starting to develop a little bit more there, but like, good Lord, is that just a complete mud pit?
Look, I was talking to a Celtics fan about like 8 days ago. And he's just like, look, I'm enjoying this stretch. We're 20-2, yada yada yada. But every day I keep looking at my freaking standings, and damn, Miami Heat might end up in our 8th spot, and it's annoying for me. But man, a team that can't score, man, and let's face it, you're going to have to hit shots against the Celtics to beat them in a series. I think they should be circling a Miami matchup at this point. The way Miami has carried it down the stretch, they just can't generate offense, even when Jimmy's out there, in a way that any meaningful team should be like, oh shit, this team is scaring the hell out of me.
Well, they've been missing 2 and 3 and 4 guys in a lot of these games, right?
That's every game. Yeah,
I know. Well, that's the question as far as what do we think of them as a playoff team? Is Tyler Hero going to be a consistent and active part of this rotation? Jimmy Butler, I think we expect to be out there on an every night basis.
In the playoffs, he's going to play.
And like, what is Kevin Love's status? Is he a relevant part of this team? Duncan Robinson's obviously been in and out, and you would hope that when he gets back, I think he has a back injury right now. That's a little worrisome for a guy who has to move as much as he does and cut and strafe and run. So you worry about that. But I like the guys they have when they're out there. But yeah, if they miss 2 and 3 players, they don't have the firepower to make up for that.
So you saying full squad Heat, the Celtics are in trouble?
Of course not. Of course not. But full strength Heat versus Bucks in the first round. Yeah. This was the dream matchup I picked. We were picking our dream first round opponents on the ringer.com this week. I would love to see a Bucks Heat rematch.
I just wish it wasn't so reliant, the case for the Heat, on black magic fuckery at this point.
But it always is.
I know. And so like, but I'm watching these games. I'm like, how the hell is this team going to get out of the play-in, let alone push the Celtics for like an Eastern Conference final bid? But then we get to the playoffs and a completely different thing. It's just like, it's such a weird thing. I was thinking about this I was watching last night. What do you guys think about Trae Young for the Heat as sort of like an off-season target?
I can't see that. I can't. Culturally, it is
here's the thing,
tough to imagine.
So is it the type of thing where like two assholes just completely cancel each other out in him and Jimmy? Or is it just compounding the assholery?
Jimmy threatened to fight Spoelstra. What do you think he would do to Trae Young after 2 straight 30-foot bombs with 22 seconds left on the shot
But it's
clock?
so little. Can't do that.
Actually, Jimmy Butler seems to dislike shooting so much. He might not mind Trae Young taking 30-foot bombs now and again.
That's certainly a zag. I wonder. I don't know, man. And then
I don't think the personalities work
the
at all.
defensive component of it, where their whole credo is that you can't get minutes if you're not strapping people up, or at least trying to.
Well, he's trying sometimes. I just don't know what the trying really lends itself. I actually have an ulterior motive.
I would enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
I just can't see how that would happen.
So I want to convey to you guys what might be the dumbest piece of scuttlebutt I've ever received from somebody inside the league. Are you ready for this? Isaiah,
I can't wait.
Isaiah, turn the TikTok camera on. So I get this text the other day from someone. He's like, hey, you heard about Trae Young? I was like, what do you mean? Like, trade? And this is someone who I would say knows people who knows things.
Yeah.
So like, I would say 25%, like being kind, success rate on some of the stuff that is passed down from this person. And I was like, what, trade? What not? Sends me an array of photos from a recent games, right? And I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to be looking at here? And I see him, Trae, like dapping up Russell Westbrook. I was like, Clippers? Like, what would they do with James Harden? I mean, what? And he's like, didn't hear anything back for hours. Get another array of photos in which he is giving a handshake to Mikal Bridges and also like wearing white and black. This is when he's on the sideline. I'm like, Nets, must be the Nets. Whatnot.
What?
Again, silent for hours. And then the text comes back, head covering. So on the sidelines, Trae Young was wearing either a hat or a hoodie over his head every time he appeared on the bench, suggesting that he got plugs, and that is why he isn't playing right now.
Oh my God.
Can you not play after you get plugs? I don't know the logistics of all that.
Airline having a deep throat, and that deep throat being in Justin Verrier's text message is kind of crazy.
Something is going on with the Hawks, though, just in the sense that I keep seeing like Anne Hathaway popped up at a Hawks game. Don Cheadle was at a Hawks game with Ewan McGregor. What is going on that's bringing
movies?
huge...
A lot of people shoot movies
Of course.
in GA, so I guess
Or
that
Atlanta
component.
specifically. But like, why would those people in Atlanta to shoot decide, I'm going to go see our Atlanta Hawks? That's how I want to spend my evening.